beautiful Spring Bay. So you can see, actually you can't see Maria Island in the background today. So this is the drive from Tribunna to Orford. On this side to your left there, that little peninsula is still Tribunna. It's Barton Avenue. So it's got some really nice places, some really great views of this Spring Bay. Oysters are grown in this bay, so when the tide is low, you can see all of the oyster farms. I don't know what they're called, but they're like little fencing and stuff that goes up that the oysters attached to. And then this is the rest of Orford. We've got the Tasman, this is still the Tasman Highway, but this is Orford, so it goes up the hill. 5 minutes from Tribunna, but people buy shacks here more than they will buy shacks in Tribunna. I think maybe it's because it's closer to beaches, whereas Tribunna has the bays. But you can see there'd be some amazing views up here. So bump in was a pretty straightforward process. So you just drove into the back of PW1, drove your car, dropped your stuff off, drove out. I was a bit quicker this time with my bump in because I had a better idea of where I was going to put the Christmas stuff that I had made. So I do still have the bookmarks for Christmas. I've also got the pen holders and the ornaments. I also had some extra stickers. So by the end of the bump in, I decided to go and see if I could find something at the reject shop that I would be able to store the stickers in and also put the Christmas ornaments because I didn't like the way they were placed on the table. I did remember to get my high-vis vest for this one, so I made sure that I was able to be seen even though I've got my amazing fluoro outfits anyway. Only took an hour and a half today, probably could have took less, but I was talking to my neighbours, so that was heaps better. I'm feeling okay. I am going to go and duck into Kmart and see if I can get some little those little crates, coloured crates, because my stickers and my Christmas ornaments just don't look right just sitting on the table the way they are. So I'm going to go and see if I can get some crates for that. All packed up, now just sitting in line waiting for people to finish their bump out. I actually drove in because I got a bit lazy, to be honest, but I've finished my third market. It was fine today, but pretty slow and pretty quiet. But look, like I've said before, I've learnt heaps, I've done a lot, so you just got to take what you've got and learn from it and see what I can do. Now, what I have learnt so far, and I will talk about this a little bit more, but what I've learnt so far is that I'm like a 47-year-old tween. The kids who come up to my table are between 10 and, 13. So I've really got to embrace that. I love my colours, I love my branding. So I'm just going to have to change my products a little bit to suit what they are after. So that's where I'll be going back to the drawing board. But I'll come back to you when I'm a little less tired and I've added up my takings for this weekend. So here's to future Anita with a better brain. So it's been a week since the market. I would have been there right now trying to sell my wares. So I've had a little bit of time to reflect. I have been that tired. Work has been mental. It's the end of the school year, so you can imagine how crazy it is with different events on and all of that kind of stuff. So it took me longer than any of my other markets to get to a recovery point of being able to keep my eyes open about past 8:30. But here I am. It's Saturday, and now I can go through things like figures and what I thought worked and what I thought didn't. So let's start with what I thought worked. It was a great venue. I really liked the venue. It was bright. It was airy. It was a central location. Parking was terrible. On the first day, I had to pay $15 for the day to park, and it was up a hill, so it wasn't great after standing on your feet for 8 hours. So that wasn't great. But on the second day, there was free parking because on Sunday there's free parking in the vicinity, so I could do that. So that was kind of a bit better. Again, you weren't close to the venue, so when we were doing bump out, you had to go and get your car and bring it back. So that was a little bit frustrating. Other things that worked, there was some different people there, and then there were people that you recognise. So you could actually say, oh, I've seen you before. You were at the market at the casino, so that was nice. But things that probably didn't work, signage. It was bizarre, the way it was advertised. So previously, I've seen signs as I'm driving in and out of Hobart for these markets, and I didn't think a lot about the colouring of them or the layout of them because it was a spring market. So they were bright, they were colourful. I thought, oh yeah, that fits a spring market for the casino one. But for the Christmas one, the ones when you were coming in on the highways into Hobart were yellow and blue stripes. So they looked like it was a football carnival or something like that was happening. It was called the Christmas Festival. There was not anything to suggest that on these signs that there was any kind of market. So I don't know about you, but if I think Christmas Festival, I think it's something for kids. I think there's going to be performers and, rides and things like that. So I wouldn't go there. If I was an adult without children, without, any kind of connection to wanting to see Santa, I probably wouldn't have shown up because it didn't make any sense to me. It looked like a festival. And again, the colouring, weird. My biggest one was the signage on the first day outside the market with these massive containers for container ships. There were 2 of them, and the sign was actually pointing in the wrong direction. So it said Christmas Festival, PW1, and the arrow was pointing up in the opposite direction to where the market was. I don't know how long it took for them to fix that, but this is what it looked like after on the next morning when I had a look. But again, you'll see the colour is a pinky purpley colour. It doesn't scream Christmas to me. I don't know. It's not. And again, it's called a Christmas festival, not a Christmas market. So that was a disappointing component of it. Lots of people that I spoke to didn't know this was on. People I knew said, oh, I didn't even realise this was on. We just happened to be walking past. So that's a disappointing thing, that people who live, and these people live in Hobart. It's not like they're travelling from Tribunna or they're travelling from somewhere else. These people live in Hobart. And if you are trying to get people to come to an event where there's over 150 market stall holders, I would have thought that people would have seen these signs everywhere. I would have thought it would have been very obvious that this was on. So that was very disappointing for me. It didn't have a Christmas vibe. There's a bit of Christmas music at the beginning. Apparently there are carolers out the front of the whole hall, but they did not come through. They were not inside. Santa was there. He was in one corner. But otherwise, and then some people were part of the Christmas tree decorating competition. I do not know who won that. I do not know if anyone won that, because there was nothing on Instagram. There was nothing, even in the vendors' Facebook group. There's been no announcement as to who won the Christmas tree decorating competition. So if I had bothered to do that and I didn't even know if I had won it or had been acknowledged by anything, I would have been very disappointed and very annoyed by that, because it was just something else that was being asked of market store holders who had paid money to be there, but it was another thing that just volunteer for this and do this to make the market look better. So I didn't enjoy, it didn't bring me any festive joy being there. I just expected Christmas carols to be playing. They played some music at the beginning of the day over the speakers. They played some music in the last hour of the afternoon, but other than that, there was no music. So the vibe just wasn't Christmassy. I don't know. I could be wrong, but this, to me, if you're going to advertise it as a Christmas festival, then you make it Christmas. There was a few people, there were a lot of people there. Look, let's be honest, there were a lot of people there, but it certainly wasn't anywhere near what I expected there to be. I don't think the people from the cruise ship really came. I think there were a few people walking around with suitcases, but I think they were waiting just to bide their time to go on a flight. So I don't think they were cruise people as such. There was a bit of crossover between the Salamanca market and our market, but it wasn't a hugely obvious thing either. I was right down the other end of the hall, away from the market, so I didn't see who was coming in, or maybe because I was right at the other end, people weren't making it down to that end. I don't know, but it didn't seem like it was people being barreled over because people wanted to see what was being sold there. It was nice. It was a nice amount of people, but it wasn't busy for the amount of stall holders that were there. And ultimately, my sales were disappointing. The Northerners of Tasmania seem to be my spirit people. The Southerners, maybe not so much. So for this market, I took $395 worth of sales. I had got more sales, I think, on the Saturday than the Sunday. And like I said, from about 2:30 onwards, I didn't sell a thing on both days. So, but, the positives of that is I did cover the cost of the table for that with an extra $145. So that's a bonus. Overall, for the three markets, I have made a $316 profit. So that's for the whole market journey, I suppose, and that is just really looking at the cost of the tables. So I think that I've pretty well covered the cost of materials. I'm not even going close to covering my time and energy, not covering petrol money, any of those kind of things. But in terms of now having a bit more of an understanding of what I make and who it appeals to, I've got a much better idea. I did say in the last one, I'm getting more and more young people at my stalls, and it was very evident with this one. So I think if I am to continue, and I'm still having a little bit of I did enjoy doing the markets. Don't think I should have done 3 in 3 months, particularly in a fourth term of a school year. But I'm really going to spend this January thinking about what it is that I think I do really enjoy making and what's sold and how I can then appeal to the customer base I'm really looking for. I don't mind being a tween seller, but I would like to maybe offer something for those tweens' parents or those tweens' accompaniments, those people that come to the store, because otherwise, I noticed a lot of the times that if the adults weren't interested in what was happening, it didn't matter that the kids were interested. They were like, no, come on, we're moving. Because at a Christmas market, you're there on a mission, right? You're not looking for things for yourself most of the time. You're looking for things for presents or for, teachers, whatever you're there for. But a lot of the time, it was not a matter of, oh, yeah, sure, we'll spend a little bit of time looking at things for you as my children. It was, I don't need anything from this store. Let's keep going. If I spend time looking at the things that you want to look at, I'll never get all of this Christmas shopping done. So I've really got to think about that and work out how I can appeal to both of those demographics and what it is I need to do. The other thing I'm really going to have to think about is my social media. I really want to improve that over these January holidays. So this is going to be a little bit of a time I've done a lot of reflecting. There's been a lot of driving in the last 3 months. So I've had time to reflect on all of the things that I need to do and what I can do to improve. But now it's just a matter of how am I going to put that in place and keep working at the level that I am with my actual job. So, yeah. I hope you've enjoyed coming along this little journey with me, and we'll see what happens in 2026. But next week we'll have another Christmas cricket tutorial, and I'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget you can always jump on my Instagram, head over to my Etsy store, or even check out the videos YouTube recommends for you down below.